Hi there, welcome to the Teeny Your Tinkers channel. I make ball jointed doll and craft related content, and today we are sewing. Now I got this sewing book back in my fabric haul video from a few weeks ago, and there are such cute little patterns in it, but even more so, there's a lot of guides showing you how to make different types of collars, different types of like hemming and all of that. I think that really is the point of this book, even though it's all in Chinese and I can't read it without Google Lens, but you know. So what I'm making today is alt clothes. So anything that kind of falls under the alt umbrella. I don't necessarily break alt fashion into a ton of different like subcategories and sub aesthetics the way it happens now. And I just make doll clothes the way I wear clothes, which is I just make and wear what I like. So here I'm just kind of copying the patterns over onto some paper, and I'm using kind of a thick watercolor paper and marking off my patterns. I had to enlarge them a little bit because the largest pattern in this book is for like a USD Barbie type sized doll, and I'm sewing for an MSD even though she is quite slim, so that's like a quarter scale doll. But I am starting off with a really cute plaid button up. Now this is going to be a short sleeve button up. I will probably make a long sleeve button up in the future. I have next to no clothes for Raven and Edgar when they come in a few months, and that's basically what I'm trying to fix here. So this button up is definitely geared more towards Raven, just being like a cute little short sleeve. I am following the pattern from the book mainly, although I didn't like the way that the front overlapped. I thought it was a little bit too much scaled up, so I did trim it back to make like the front closure. It's really handy having a mannequin of the doll you're sewing for on like standby. You can also just have the doll, but I like to have these nearby so that I can try things on as I go and make sure that the fit is going to be good. So I already kind of knew how to make vests and shirts, but button-ups have always been hard for me, especially collars, but this book actually made it very straightforward on how to attach the collar without it being all frayed and ugly. Although, if it does fray and get ugly, you can use things like Fray Stop to fix that. Some people will serge their edges. I don't have a serger, so we're using Fray Stop. Okay, so while the Fray Stop dries, I'm going to be using this black vinyl to make a skirt. Vinyl is such an easy fabric to work with. Now, it is really stiff, and you're kind of limited to what you can actually make with the vinyl, but for something like a patent leather-esque skirt, it's going to work really well. The pattern in this book was for a much flowier skirt, so I did end up having to cut this down, but this was honestly one of the fastest things I've ever sewed up in my life because it's a stiff fabric and it doesn't fray. You don't actually have to hem it. Any kind of stitching is just decorative unless it's holding the skirt together. So this came together super duper quick, and I'm really excited to make it like part of Raven's regular wardrobe, you know, once the dolls are actually in. It's essentially just 3 pieces, and then it's left a bit open in the back so that I can add some Velcro or snaps so that I can actually get it on her. But look how cute! All right, so when I did my fabric haul, I said I wanted to use this pink and black corduroy and make a pair of split trousers. I love corduroy pants. I think they're so cute. I have a pair. I almost never wear them though because they are quite hot, but I wanted to make this pair for Raven. She's going to be, like I said, very alt, but there's also going to be some like pastel aspects because there has to be, because it's a must. I just love pastel goth, pastel emo type clothes. They're so cute. There wasn't a pattern in the book for this specific pair of pants because the trousers in the book basically are super simple, just have like a little bit of a pleat versus when I make pants, I like to make like jeans, and I like them to have functional front pockets. I didn't go all the way with the jeans on these particular pants. They're kind of like a cross between the pants in the book and the pants I typically make. So I start by stitching the front pieces together, and then I like to top stitch to give kind of like the illusion of a fly. Then I'll stitch the back of the legs onto the sides and connect the pockets. Also, totally didn't realize how shaky the camera was when I was running the sewing machine. I have a whole video on this channel about sewing jeans, so if you want to see exactly how I made these, check that out. Moving on to this fabric, which is basically like sports knit, like a jersey. And I'm just using it to make a couple super basic tank tops and shirts. Like I said, all of the doll clothes I have so far kind of fall into the kid core or fairy key or like pastel color block category, and I am basically starting from scratch. So black t-shirts, basics, etc. All right, so here's the pieces mostly sewn, like all the base pieces. They do need a little more work, so at this point it's time to add things like snaps, Velcro, buttons, ribbons, anything of that nature. I just added some black buttons to the button up. I did Velcro closures on a couple pairs of the pants and snaps on the more structured pants, like the corduroy. I also did Velcro on the skirt because it made it more adjustable, and I think that that's going to be nice. Like, oh, I want to make Raven some matching clothes with me, but yeah, that might be a whole other video. For now, that's all I made. I'm going to post a part 2 because I made more clothes the next day. So here's an example of an outfit. Like, look how cute this is. I think with some stockings. This pinafore is super cute, and I made a sailor top to go with it. I also used the leftover fabric from that button up to make a tube top. And then this is how those trousers came out. Like I said, it's not quite jeans, but they are pocketed. Okay, and then lastly, I made this bunny hoodie. Now I have a human-sized version of this. But for now, if you're already subscribed, thanks so much for subscribing. If you're new here, I hope you like the content and consider subscribing. As always, I hope you have a fantastic day. Bye!